Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pink Table Talk. I am your host, Laria Reed. Look, we got Miss Kim from Hope TV on here with us today, y'all. She's already waving. I'm so glad to have the two guests that we have today. Make sure that you go ahead, like, share this, let your girlfriends know. We're talking about purpose today and how to
Yeah.
find it, how you get started in it. Just trying to figure out this whole life thing because sometimes you can be in your 20s and still trying to find the road, 30s, even in your 60s, you may want to do a career change. However, it may go, let your friends know that we're on. We've got two great guests today, and I believe we're going to be able to learn from each other, give some good nuggets to each other. And I'm just so excited about these two that's on today, y'all. They have such great energy. Y'all see how they just come on here dancing and having a good time. But let me introduce them before they introduce themselves and take over the Pink Table Talk because they're equipped to do it. The young lady in the pink, her name is, well, should I call you Carla or Brandy on here? We affectionately know
What
her
do
as
you know me
Brandy.
by? Yes,
Brandy.
Brandy.
Look, Brandy Spies. Brandy
Right.
Spies. Smiley is her. She's married,
Yes,
and her last name is Smiley
yes.
now. She's a doctor.
Mhm.
She's affectionately known as Brandy, as we said. She's married to Timothy, has four bonus children, and a fur baby. She made sure she put that in there too. You know how we are about our fur children. She was diagnosed with bilateral hearing loss at the age of 6 and experienced her first visit with an educational audiologist the same year when she was 6. And guess what? She is now an educational
Yeah.
audiologist, and she works and serves in 8 school districts within the South Metro Atlanta area. And I think that's awesome. So would you all welcome Miss Doctor? Excuse me, I was about to say Mrs., but Doctor Brandy Smiley.
Thank
Brandy.
you. Hi. Thank you for having
So glad
me.
she's here. So glad she's here. Look at Miss Kim. Look like she on the cheerleading squad the way she gave that clap. But the young lady in the black with the pink earrings, I'm loving her pink already. Kim Martin, she's been working with children over 10 years. It seems like it's probably been longer than that. She plays a variety of roles, including working in daycare centers. She's done nanny positions. She's done children's ministries, classroom settings, and she also does Hey Miss Kim on Hope TV, which is an awesome show. It
Yay.
comes on Saturday mornings. I want to say what time, Kim?
Saturday mornings at 9:30 and Tuesdays at 5.
Yes, and she is awesome with that. She graduated from Georgia Southern University with a Bachelor of Science in Child and Family Development. She's a mother, great daughter, just a amazing person. So would you all please welcome Kim Martin? Hey, Miss Kim. She's so awesome when it comes to those kids, and her show is real. Look, I watch Hey Miss Kim on Saturday mornings because I learn new stuff. It's actually very good. With Pastor D from our youth ministry at
That's
House of
good.
Hope. It's really good. It's very good. So I brought the two of you guys on because I know that you all operating your purpose and your passion. And I want to attribute your smiling and your inward ability of being so happy to that because I know that you both do that. So did you know at an early age, and I know Brandy, you mentioned about the audiology thing, but I want to talk to both of you about, did you know when you were a child, was this something that you came into of knowing what you really wanted to do? So I'll start with Brandy. Was this something you just knew this is what I want to do, or you kind of got on the path and kind of found it?
So I know it sounds cliche, but when I was 6 and I went to the audiologist, I have a photographic memory of that moment, and it always stuck with me. It didn't really hit me though until about 12, or I was 12 years old watching The Miracle
Mm,
Worker and watching Ann Sullivan work with Helen Keller, where at
yeah.
12 it really clicked that that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. And
Mm,
so it was a
wow.
path, but it finally led to what I wanted to do.
Yeah, very, very good. And what about you, Miss
Mhm.
Kim? How did you know when you were young? I want to work with children. I want to do this. This is where I want to be.
I absolutely did not. I
Really?
Nope.
And you're so good at it.
Right.
When I was younger, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I have no idea why, but I wanted to be a marine biologist. And so when I got to school and I got into my major, I I realized that I liked going to class. I really, really enjoy it. It was never a struggle for me. And just learning about how children development, being in our child development center on campus, I was obsessed. And so during my undergrad year, I got pregnant and it all just came full circle for me. And I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Mm.
So it went hand in hand with what I was learning. I was able to apply it. And so that's how I got into everything. And from there, it just continuously grew. And I continued to put myself in those settings with kids. And I never looked back.
Yeah, yeah. And for you all who are watching, I forgot to say, go ahead on and like and share and show this to some of your friends who are trying to, maybe they want to go on a different career or they're trying to decide if they want to stay where they are or whatever. But these two young ladies kind of have a good path going and they're excited about where they are. So my question to you is, why do you believe that God gave you what you have? You know, I know all of us have different kinds of talents and gifts and all that, but is there something within your personality where you can see yourself doing what you do? Do you believe? Why do you believe God gave you what you have? That's my question. Well,
Kim, you want to
Brandy,
go
I'm sorry.
first? Okay.
Brandy or Kim,
Okay.
whichever one.
Okay. I'll go first. A lot of times I just feel like God gives you whatever type of struggle to help someone else and relate to
Mm,
their struggle. So for me, having hearing loss, even though I might say my loss didn't impact me as someone else with a different type of severity, I can relate to struggles, hearing in the classroom, having to move in the front, having difficulty hearing like in a restaurant situation or even at church. So I feel like it just helps me be relatable. I don't have to come with textbook stuff
mm,
because I've lived it. And that's why I feel like
yeah,
sometimes he gives us things.
yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely. What about you, Kim?
I think for me, I was born with a natural energy towards. I cheered. It's so funny, Bree. You mentioned I did the cheerleader class, but I actually
Yeah.
Yeah,
cheered
you
more.
do the cheerleading class.
And so that kind of energy, it comes natural to me. And so working with
Hmm.
kids, you have to have that energy. There are no
You
down
do.
days.
Yeah,
And you have to be
absolutely.
on go. You have to be ready to accept breakfast stories at 7:30 in the morning. You have to be ready to listen. A lot of it is, managing and multitasking a lot of different things. And I learned a lot of those things when I was cheerleading at a young age. I learned how to present myself to new people when I really didn't feel like it, present that energy, and to just be a social person. And I feel like that's what a
Mhm.
lot of kids, they just need somebody that's going to listen to them, be social, and be able to
Right.
absorb that energy that they have to give. And so it's so funny, when I started working with Pastor DeMarcus, he knew my sister who passed away. And so
Oh,
it's so funny how her energy is the same kind of energy that I have. And so I went home one night and I got to thinking, and it's almost like I'm continuing that energy that she had before I even
mm,
knew that's the kind
Wow.
of person that she was. It's almost like I'm continuing
wow.
that she had
Wow.
and putting it into the things that I'm doing. And I mean, it blew my mind. So
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Wow.
I want you to talk to us about what your experience is like as a millennial in the entertainment industry.
I would honestly say that my gender probably played more of a factor than my age did. She's a female, so she probably don't really know, or she probably can't really, and so then they would just write me off. But we got that together.
Hey, Dad. I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
How do we know when we're listening to someone who's an idiot juxtaposed to someone who has actually done the stuff they're teaching?
You definitely have a lot of people out there who are talking and talking and talking. So you can double check their work. If you're seeing that they are saying like the sky is blue, all these other things are saying the sky is red, all right, you might need to start to follow somebody else most likely. So you can Google what is a stock, what is a REIT, what are some good stocks to invest in, what's an index fund, so on and so on. I always think that's the best place to start.
So with dealing with children, and this may be for a mother, how do you assist your children in becoming, because I believe that that's very important when we're young, to be able to have that freedom to flourish, you know, and create environments for that. So what advice would you give to a parent who has a child who's kind of, you know, they're so creative when they're younger. So how do you keep that creativity going and their personalities thriving and dreaming? Because when we're young, we all dream about doing all these things. And then by the time we get to college and reality starts setting in, we just start diminishing ourselves. So how do we, as parents, keep that creativity going throughout life?
So a lot of things that I do, and I'm glad you brought up that word creativity, because that is such, we're born naturally creative. We come into this world creative and curious about the world. And so a lot of what I was studying when I applied it to my parenting, it was accepting her for who she was and not necessarily trying to turn her into someone that I wanted her to be, or trying to fix those things about myself and trying to stop her from becoming that person. Because if that's who she naturally is, then I want to hone in on that. And it's also following and paying attention to what they're saying. A lot of times adults say that we don't listen to children, but there is such a need to actually listen to what they're saying. And when we listen to them, we can find so much information. There's so much to learn about the world because they see the world from a totally different perspective than we see it. And so when we take all that in and we absorb it, we can see it from a different perspective. And honestly, being creative and honing in on those types of things, it's really easy when you think about it. I feel like a lot of times parents, we shy away from it because we feel like it has to be this grand gesture for our kids to be creative. I did when she was younger, I would give her a box, or I would tape construction paper to the floor and let her color, or it's the little things that kids gravitate towards. And we recognize us, we're already being a helpful piece into facilitating their creativity and letting them be naturally curious about the world.
Most definitely. And that and that brings me to you, Brandy, with, do you feel that, and I know your parents, do you feel that growing up, and even when I know I didn't say all of your story, but you started out in the teaching profession and then went back to school to become an audiologist. So when you made that career shift, was there a lot of fear? Because I know there's some women watching who may want to shift, but it's kind of like, I'm leaving what I know to go to something I don't know, but I know this thing is pulling in me. So how did you make the turn?
So that shift was a planned shift. Okay. So I'll talk about the planned shift, and I'll talk about now how it's semi-planned, but it's very foreign to me. So when I was in education, the goal was to learn about education, learn the backdrop of education, special education law, and so forth, and then go into audiology. So my goal was to stay at Valdosta State. They only had a communication science and disorder degree. They didn't have audiology. So I could have settled and stayed and got my master's at Valdosta, but I didn't. So that was planned. The shifts was planned. What I will say about my parents, because you know them, every desire that we had, as you said, Kim, they honed in on our desires. So if I wanted to play the piano, if I wanted to play the flute, if I wanted to be an astronomer, everything. And I don't know, honestly, Laria, how they did it, because we didn't have money like that. But everything we desired to do, my parents invested in. And so that really is a testament to what you were saying, Kim. So now in my shift as an audiologist, now leaving corporate education and going into private practice, that's where the faith kicks in, because when you're clocking in and out and you know what your purpose is every day and what that looks like every day, what your agenda is going to be, it gets easy peasy after, doing it for a while. The faith really kicks in when you say, you know what, I have the skills and the gifts that God's given me. Now let me go out into the world and expose not only yourself, but to expose him. That's where the faith factor really, really comes in. So
yeah,
I hope I
and then you're kind of leading me into no, you did, because you're kind of leading me into my next question about difficult times when we go into, how should I say it? Things aren't always easy. We can see the finish goal, but you always come into road bumps when you're on your purpose journey, as I call it. So, it may be a fear of, like with Kim, she's got, hey, Miss Kim, that was something that she had never done before. So she had the choice to be like, you know what, I'm not going to do that. Or I'm out of my comfort zone doing this, or, and just difficult times. And I want you all to talk about resiliency and how that plays a part in reaching your goals, because I know tough times come up. So Kim, can you tell us about any time or any difficult situation you had to go through where you just felt like, you know what, it's not worth it. I can just go get a job doing this instead of doing what I love and probably make twice as much money. So do you mind talking about that a little bit?
Sure. So it's actually funny that, Brandy, that you bring that up, because I'm actually stepping away from the classroom and I am stepping out on faith and I am doing my own thing. And so I feel like I can talk about my present feelings.
Yes, please do.
So I've been in this position before and I was much younger. So I feel like there wasn't a lot of thought behind it. I was living with my parents. I didn't have a whole lot of responsibility. There was a lot of help, but now I'm on my own. And it is the thoughts of, am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I going to be able to keep Kaylee's my daughter, in those activities that she loves, and be able to keep up the things that she enjoys, and also take the time to do the things that I enjoy. And I feel like it was kind of a no-brainer for me. It was a no-brainer for me to recognize that I was in. It was getting a little claustrophobic, and I could feel myself. I could feel myself needing to expand. I could feel that the opportunities coming, the Hey Miss Kim show. I have after school classes that I'm doing. People wanted me to go and tutor their children. There was just a lot of things that outside people were seeing in me. Not to say that I didn't necessarily see it in myself, but I guess I didn't have that push to be able to just fully accept it and just go for it. And so now I am going for it. And I think a lot of times we need to be in those situations to allow other people to see those things that bring it out to you. But I do have my struggle moments where I'm like, oh, I don't know. Should I resign? I'm at peace with my decision, and I'm leaning on faith. My faith has grown so much, and leaning in on that. I have a mom and a father that prays for me, and it just feels right. There's nothing in me that makes me feel like it's wrong, and I know that this is something that comes effortless to me. I wake up with a smile on my face every day to do it, and I'm excited for what comes next. And so I guess how I push through it is I just get up and I use my energy and my time and I give it my all. I go up to bat and I hit a home and I give it the best that I can, and I'm going to continue to do that.
Good for you.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Congratulations. Because it takes a lot. People don't understand. It takes a lot.
It does.
What about you, Brandy?
So
what about you, Brandy? Resiliency.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can now. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's okay. So for me, during my last year, my senior year residency in grad school, that's when I was diagnosed with cancer. I was walking around, did not know that I had cancer. And when it hit, I'm like, how am I going to graduate? What's going to happen next? Would I live? So that was my first, I would say, trial with wondering if everything that I laid out would ever come to pass. And it took my faith to a whole different level, right? So when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, you don't have any control. When you have to go in the hospital for chemo at whatever time, you have to go. If you have to leave work, if you have to be off for some time, you have to let it go and do what's necessary to live, to fight and to live. So that was my first kind of encounter with, I would say this, even though I grew up in church, Laria, that was my real first encounter with God and trusting God on a whole different level. And it carries me throughout in every situation that I ever encounter. And so in terms of resiliency, I'm going to go with Kim, what you say, when you have had this pattern going into the classroom, whatever your job is day to day, what is it going to look like? Then God gives you this idea, this purpose, this calling that I feel like sometimes it just eats at you every single day. It just will not leave you morning and night. It doesn't matter what you're doing. That one thing, whether it's writing, whether it's whatever you're going to do, Kim, we don't know yet. If it's private practice, it just will not leave you. And you are not, when it's in God's hands, you're not worried about finances. You're not worried about, do you have enough? Because you know that He has equipped you. And like He told the disciples in Mark, you don't need all this equipment, all this luxury, just go. And if they receive you, then welcome it. And if not, brush the dust off. And so that's where I am with that. It's like, I know what I'm equipped with. I know the skills and the gifts that I have and what I can bring to the community. And the faith that I have, if it doesn't work out, I know because God gave it to me, some kind of ram's going to come from somewhere and help me figure it out. And it's all going to come full circle. So again, I hope I answered your question.
You did. Because Brandy has an awesome testimony outside of all of this about, and this kind of goes into purpose too, with her having cancer diagnosis, and it was a stage 4 cancer diagnosis too?
Stage 4.
Wow.
And you were how old at the time? I know.
So
and you were how old at the time?
It was my 27th birthday, so May 5th, 2006.
That's crazy. And she's doing well and just most definitely.
Yes,
so we know God's got a purpose for her. For real.
For everybody, everybody.
He does.
This is what I would like to say. Everybody has some kind of cancer, right? Even though mine was physical, some people have generational curses. Some people have self-sabotage. Some people have dysfunctional marriages or relationships with their parents. So everyone has a stage 4, some type of stage of cancer that God will equip them to get over if they just give it to them and give it to Him. And so I'm grateful. I can talk about it all day long. I can talk about it
all day long, right?
But all day long.
Yeah.
But it's all like a platform. There's nothing that we go through that is not a form of preparation. And I just feel like
Yes.
it was preparation for faith, because there's going to be another challenge to come. Do I just give up? Do I
That's
just
right.
not fight?
That's
You
right.
know, and then if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go my way, do I just turn away from God, or do I say, okay, God, I trust you in this. If you were victorious in this matter, then I know that you have me.
Right.
So
Amen. Amen. That is so true. And it's funny you said that, because I was reading Cicely Tyson's book, and she talks about how, and she gave so much wisdom in that book about when you go through something, it's almost like when you get through it, you go up another step. And she's like, and once you get to that step, you can see life in a different way. And in a
yes,
different, it's almost like you graduated to another level. And she talks about, every time she goes into a storm or has gone into so many different things, each time was like another promotion. So if we start looking at things in that aspect, I believe that we'll be able to stay in our purpose, because purpose is not easy. Just because you
yeah,
know what you really want to do doesn't mean you're just going to come out and just make millions of dollars. But you can, but
yes,
you have to be tested and tried in that to really show God how much you really want to do this. And I think that he does that to a lot of us. And then for some of us, he's just waiting on us to step out. He's already got everything made. We just got to
yeah.
move. And it's like, how many
Yes.
YouTube videos you going to watch? How many people you going to talk to? You didn't talk to everybody. You didn't talk to the public. Your husband
Yes.
done told you, go ahead on. Everybody done told you do something. And you still looking for a
Yeah.
sign. Look, this is your
Right.
800 sign. Go ahead on and do it.
Yes.
Go on and walk
So
into
true.
it. Walk into
So
it.
true.
Like you said, a lot of people think that you just wake up and say, oh, this is what I'm going to be and this is what I am, and that everything happens overnight, and that is absolutely untrue. You have a few friends who's in jail right now? Do you have a few friends who's in trouble right now? I said those judges and all of that stuff really, really matters. The Congress and all those people matter. So you have to make sure that you pay attention to those things and the numbers of what you're voting for.
A lot of times it's easy to attach your identity to something you do or somewhere you work because you don't like who you are.
In regards to getting to know who you are, one piece that people have to really be ready to is look at themselves honestly. A lot of times we want to sell ourselves an idea of ourselves rather than who we really are.
What advice would you give to a woman who's watching now, who's kind of on the fence, wants to kind of go towards that thing that she loves to do and feels that she could change her career into that? And even for some of you, it may not be a career change, but even just walking into that as a talent, doing something on the side, whatever you may love to do. So what would you say to a woman? And I'll start with you, Kim. What would you say to that
Just
girl?
do it. Just do it.
Mm.
I think the biggest part of it for me is not thinking about it so much. I feel like a lot of times we get in our heads and we're so used to consistency, especially when it comes to building a family or being in that financial space that we want to be. It's like, oh, I gotta know that my check is coming in. And it's kind of boring. You know what I mean? It's like, where's the of being creative and going out and hustling and making those avenues and making those changes and being a go-getter and figuring out life, because life is gonna throw curveballs at you. It's gonna throw curveballs, and you have got to be prepared to know how to shift and know how to adjust.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, we went home. Obviously, we were at home, and I immediately took to online teaching immediately, because I knew that was something that was going to be a thing. I knew that students would be doing it. I knew that parents would be needing to learn it. And so I pride myself on being able to adjust so quickly to situations. It's not so much like when I'm shifting to a situation, I don't think about it. When I'm in the situation, I kind of think about it more. But my automatic shift to snapping into motion, it's like, okay, I'm in the situation. What do I have? What am I equipped with right now? Who do I need to, who can I talk to more resources to equip me even more? And so it's just being confident in those skills that you have and knowing where to put those skills and just not being afraid of stepping out in the world and learning new things. I'm always learning new things. There is so much to learn. Not to say that you have to learn it all, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. But when you find something that you will stay up till 2:00 in the morning looking at with no problem, that's what you lean on. When you find yourself looking at those things that you just cannot stop thinking about, that's what you lean on. And so a lot of things, I do have my hands in a lot of things. I'm in writing, I teach, I do I do so many things, but they're all centered around a central idea, which is the development of kids. And I like being in that avenue, but I also like dipping my hands into other things that I can add to my resume. And for me,
I know, right?
It's all about belt building. What can I add to my belt this month or this week? What kind of new knowledge can I build? Because it always comes back around. You know, it's like we think of like, I can't really use this skill right now, but somehow it always comes back around to where we can incorporate it somewhere else. And whatever you do, if it doesn't make you happy, then don't do it. And I know that's really, really simple, but if it really does not make you smile and give you joy in your heart, then find something else.
It's okay. It's okay to want to do something different.
So okay. Something different. Do what makes you happy and what brings you joy, and something that you don't have to think twice about. Something that comes natural for you to do.
Most definitely. Okay, Brandy, what about you? A word of encouragement. What would you say to a woman?
So I'm going to keep mine really simple. And I've said this, I think, throughout the pandemic and you hinted at this, Kim, about resources. If you lack, open your mouth and ask. And I'm going to tell you a little snippet of my testimony because I'm not quite public yet. It's going to be a little bit more public now. But when I went to my mother and I had an idea, I said, Mom, I'm going to brush off this business plan that I did in school, and I'm about to put this into practice. But I don't have everything that I need. This is how much it's going to be. We asked about maybe 50 individuals, and I needed about 75,000 to get everything built. Because I opened my mouth, because my mom opened my mouth, and I'm going to try my best not to cry. God has met and supplied every need. My goal was to build my clinic debt-free. My clinic would be built debt-free. But that's not by any of my doing. It's all listening to God. And when he said it was nothing big, it was nothing wordy, he said, ask. And I got out of my pride and I did that, and the floodgates open. If I were to ask even more, it would go above and beyond. I haven't even done what I think I could have done just by opening my mouth to more people. So that's what I would say is don't feel like you're begging. Don't feel like you're going to be a burden to someone, because there are people out there with resources. There are people, I will tell you this, there are people out there who are waiting for someone to give to. They're waiting on a purpose to align with. And people are waiting for you to open your mouth so that you can get the work done. So that's my simple advice is just open your mouth and ask.
One thing my mom,
Wow.
one thing my sister, she always told me when I was growing up, and I was never a kid that like wanted everything, but she always told me, "You have not because you ask not," and I
My
ran
mom
with it.
too. My
That's
mom
right.
too.
Right.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah,
Closed
but
mouths don't get
that is
fed.
that's it. That's
Mhm.
it. But it's so
Mhm.
massive, y'all. I wish that I could just give you a glimpse of how I started in the pandemic, gardening, listening to God speak with absolutely nothing. Not enough to do what is about to happen. Now I will tell you there's some little roadblocks in the purpose. So if this is done, and it will be done, this is all God. All I have is
Mhm.
the college degree. Everything else
Mhm.
is all God. It's all God. I'm just
Wow.
like, okay, what do you want me to do
Wow.
next? Like, that's it.
What do you want me to do
Wow.
next?
That's it.
I know, right? Wow.
And I, like you, I'm not stepping away completely, but this is a big step of faith that I took. I'm no longer full-time come the next school year, because if I were full-time, I would not have the time to invest. And that was not a solo decision, honey. I had to go to Mr. Timothy and say, are you okay with it? And what
Right.
happened was my piece aligned with his piece, and we're just trusting God to make it work. And I am at peace. I'm good. I'm good.
That's awesome. Look, y'all, I feel like slow clapping or or cheering or something. Y'all are doing it. I'm so excited. Look, I know, come on, cheerleader, praise break cheerleader. But I'm so excited for the both of you guys. And you all are inspirations. And I think that we minimize the people that we know and what they do, because I know you guys and I see you all the time. But if you just talk to some of your friends, they're stepping out, doing things, big things in their way. And big things don't have to be on publicized everywhere. They can be where you are in your local community. That's doing it. That's living the dream, is being able to make an impact where you are. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a huge platform, but wherever you are and whatever you do, that's what God has assigned you to do and walk in your purpose. So we are so glad. Dr. Brandon Smiley, that won't be the last time you hear her name. And hey, Miss Kim, this will definitely not be the last time you hear from her. I'm so excited about you guys' future and what you all have going on.
Too.
But,
yes.
Well, thank you. But we are so glad to have y'all on the Pink Table Talk today. Ladies, I hope you all got something from this. If you're a guy you are all listening to, look, we inspire everybody here at the Pink Table Talk. But thank you, Kim Martin, Brandy Smiley. Thank you both for being here today. And I hope you guys come back and see us again. Y'all were excellent. Y'all are excellent. So we'll see you the next time on the Pink Table Talk. We love y'all. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.